The discovery. The stars gleamed cold and silent around Earth. Commander Zek stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Crimson Fang. His purple scales reflected the dim red lights of the command center. Behind him, 499 warships waited, the greatest fleet the Krylon Empire had ever assembled. Zek smiled, showing rows of sharp teeth. "Scan the planet," he ordered. His chief officer, a thin creature named Rax, worked the controls. Numbers appeared on the screen. Rax's eyes widened. "Commander, the humans, they only have basic metal ships. Their weapons use chemical explosives. They don't even have plasma shields." Zek laughed. The sound echoed through the bridge. Other officers joined in. They had conquered 47 worlds. "This would be the easiest yet. Primitives," Zek said. "Send the surrender message." The message was simple and direct. "Submit to the Krylon Empire, serve us, or die." Zek expected an immediate response. Fear, panic, maybe desperate pleas for mercy. Instead, silence. 1 hour passed. Nothing. 2 hours. Still nothing. 3 hours. Complete silence. Zek's smile faded. His claws tapped against his command chair. This was not normal. Even the proudest species responded quickly. Usually with defiance, sometimes with surrender, but never with silence. "Send it again," Zek growled. Rax sent the message 3 more times. Each time, the result was the same. Nothing. Zek's patience broke. Battle positions. "Charge all weapons," he roared. "If they won't answer, we'll make them answer." 500 warships moved into attack formation. Each ship was massive, the size of a small city. Each carried enough firepower to level continents. Together, they could crack a planet in half. Zek felt satisfaction return. This was what he understood: power, force, domination. "Weapons ready, Commander," Rax reported. "On my mark." Zek began. Then his screen flickered, just once. A brief glitch. Zek frowned. "What was that?" "Unknown, Commander. Running diagnostics now." Another flicker. Then another. Soon, every screen on the bridge was flashing with strange symbols. Symbols Zek had never seen before. They looked almost like code. "What's happening?" Zek demanded. Rax's hands flew across the controls. I don't know, sir. The systems they're not responding correctly. Fix it." "I'm trying," but a new voice cut through the chaos. Female, human, calm, Commander Zek of the Krylon Empire. Every screen on the bridge showed the same image. A human woman in a simple gray uniform. She had dark skin and calm brown eyes. She looked almost bored. "Who are you?" Zek snarled. "How did you—" "I am Captain Maria Santos of Earth Defense," the woman said. "I'm speaking to you from the ship currently in front of your fleet. Perhaps you've noticed it." Zek looked at the main viewport. There, hanging in space like it had always been there, was a ship. A human ship, but it was tiny. Compared to the Krylon warships, it looked like a child's toy. It was smooth and white, shaped like a teardrop. No weapons were visible on its hull. No armor plating. Nothing threatening at all. Zek almost laughed again. That little thing is supposed to scare us?" Captain Santos tilted her head slightly. "Scare you?" "No, Commander. It's just transportation. I needed something to travel in. You dare mock me?" Zek's voice rose. "I have 500 warships. Each one could destroy your pathetic craft with a single shot." "Yes, I suppose they could," Santos agreed. "If they worked." Zek froze. "What did you say?" "Your weapons, Commander. Try to fire them." Zek turned to Rax. "Fire weapon systems. All of them now." Rax pressed the controls. Pressed again. His face went pale. "Commander, nothing is happening. The weapons, they're not responding. Manual override." Zek shouted. "Trying, sir." "It's not working." "Nothing is working." Other officers called out from their stations. Shields were down. Engines were locked. Communication systems between ships were scrambled. Life support was functioning, but barely. Zek felt something he hadn't felt in 20 years of conquest. Fear. What have you done?" he whispered. Captain Santos sighed, like a teacher explaining something to a slow student. "Commander Zek, we disabled your entire fleet 3 hours ago. All 500 ships. Your weapons, your shields, your engines, your communications, everything. We did it remotely the moment you entered our system." We've been watching you this whole time, listening to you laugh at us, watching you move into attack positions. You just didn't notice until now." The bridge was completely silent. Every Krylon officer stared at the screen in disbelief. "Impossible," Zek breathed. "You're primitives. You use metal ships, chemical weapons. We scanned you." Santos smiled for the first time. It wasn't a warm smile. "Yes, you scanned what we wanted you to scan. Tell me, Commander, when you look at an iceberg, do you only see the tip above water? Or do you consider what might be hidden below?" Zek couldn't speak. His mind was racing. One small ship. One human woman. She had defeated his entire fleet without firing a single shot. "Now, Commander," Santos continued, her voice still calm. "Shall we talk? Or would you like more demonstrations of what we can do?" The demonstration commander's X-claws dug into his command chair. His pride fought against the fear crawling up his spine. He had conquered worlds. He had destroyed entire civilizations. He would not be frightened by one human female. "You're bluffing," he said, forcing confidence into his voice. "Some kind of trick. A computer virus, perhaps. My engineers will fix this in minutes." Captain Santos raised one eyebrow. "You think this is a virus? What else could it be?" Zek gestured at his useless controls. "You hacked our systems. Clever, I admit, but temporary." Behind Zek, Officer Rax was frantically working his station. Sweat dripped down his scaled face. "Commander, I've tried 17 different override codes. Nothing responds. It's like the ship doesn't recognize our commands anymore. Keep trying," Zek snapped. He turned back to the screen. "You've bought yourself time, human. Nothing more. Even if you've disabled my fleet, the Krylon Empire has thousands more ships. When they arrive, they won't." Santos interrupted quietly. Zek laughed. It sounded forced even to his own ears. "You think you can stop the entire empire? We already have. But you don't believe me. I can see it in your face." Santos leaned back in her chair. "You want proof?" "Real proof. Very well." She pressed something off screen. "Demonstration mode. Level 1. What?" Zek began. The floor disappeared. Not broke. Not shattered. Simply wasn't there anymore. Zek looked down. Below his feet he could see straight through the ship. Through deck after deck. Through the engine room. Through the hull. Into space beyond. The stars gleamed beneath his boots. Every officer on the bridge screamed. Some fell to their knees even though they weren't falling. The floor was still there. They could feel it. But they could see through it as clearly as glass. No, clearer than glass. Like it didn't exist at all. Zek's heart pounded. He stamped his foot. Solid metal. But his eyes saw nothing but empty space. "Stop this," he shouted. "Not yet," Santos said calmly. "Watch, the walls turn transparent next. Then the ceiling." Within seconds, the entire bridge looked like it was floating in open space. Officers grabbed onto their stations, terrified they would fall into the void. But nothing changed. The ship was still there, just invisible. Then the gravity shifted. Sideways, officers slid across the floor. No, the wall. No, Zek couldn't tell anymore. His body said down was to the left. His eyes said down was below. His inner ear said he was spinning. He grabbed his chair as his stomach lurched. Around him, his crew tumbled and rolled. Rax hit a console with a sickening crunch. Another officer vomited. A third simply curled into a ball, shaking. "Enough!" Zek roared. "Enough!" Everything snapped back to normal. The floor was solid and opaque. The walls were metal again. Gravity pulled downward like it always had. But nothing felt real anymore. Zek's legs shook. He collapsed into his chair. Around him, officers slowly stood up. Some were crying. Others looked at their hands like they couldn't believe they were still solid. "What? What did you do?" Zek whispered. Captain Santos appeared on the screen again. Her expression was neutral, but Zek saw something in her eyes. "Not cruelty. Something worse. Pity. I changed the quantum state of your ship's hull," she explained. "Made it phase shifted. Your molecules were still there, still solid, but light passed through them. Then I rotated the local gravity field 90 degrees. Simple demonstrations, really. Simple," Zek repeated numbly. "Commander, let me explain something." Santos folded her hands. "Your empire uses plasma weapons, energy shields, fast engines. These are good technologies. Very effective. You've conquered many worlds with them. Then how? Because we don't use those things anymore." Santos continued. "We stopped using energy weapons 200 years ago. We don't need shields. We don't need armor. Do you understand why?" Zek shook his head slowly. Because we don't fight with energy or matter anymore, Commander. We manipulate the quantum fields directly. We change the rules themselves. That's impossible. You just experienced it. Was that impossible? Zek had no answer. Santos leaned forward. Your weapons shoot plasma. Hot matter moving fast. Our systems can make that plasma simply not exist. Turn it into something else. Or make it exist in a different dimension. Your shields stop energy. We can make your shields think they're somewhere else in space-time. You control reality, Rax whispered from his station. Not reality, Santos corrected. Just the local quantum fields. Matter, energy, space, time. These things are all connected. We learned how to adjust the connections. Think of it like turning knobs on a machine. We turn the gravity knob. We turn the matter phase knob. We turn the causality knob. The bridge was silent except for the quiet hum of systems struggling to reboot. Zek felt something break inside him. His pride, his confidence, his entire understanding of power. He had thought the Krylon Empire was mighty because they had the biggest ships, the strongest weapons, but this human woman had just shown him something terrifying. Humans didn't play the same game. They had changed the game itself. Why? Zek finally asked. His voice was hoarse. Why didn't you just destroy us? Santos looked directly at him. Because we're not conquerors, Commander. We didn't come to your space. You came to ours. We're defending our home, not attacking yours. Then, what do you want? I want you to leave. Take your fleet. Go back to your empire. Tell them what you saw here. Tell them Earth is not to be touched. Zek nodded slowly. He would leave. He would run. Proudly, he would call it a strategic retreat. But he knew the truth. He was fleeing in terror. I'll contact the High Command immediately, he said quietly. They're already listening, Santos replied. This entire conversation has been broadcast to every major power in the galaxy. The Krylon High Command, the Vex Collective, the Hive Queens, the Mechanist Union, everyone. Zek's blood ran cold. You've humiliated us in front of the entire galaxy. No, Commander. I've educated them. They needed to know. Santos stood up. You have 24 hours to leave this system. If any ship remains after that, we will be less polite. Do you understand? Yes, Zek whispered. The screen went dark. For a long moment, nobody on the bridge moved. Then Rax spoke, his voice shaking. Commander, should I send the retreat order? Zek stared at the empty screen. 20 years of conquest, 47 worlds, 500 mighty warships, all meaningless now. All useless against an enemy that could rewrite physics itself. But even as despair filled him, another thought formed. The Krylon Emperor was proud, too proud, and pride made people do stupid things. Zek activated his private channel to the home world. Emperor Cross himself answered, his old scarred face filling the screen. Explain, Cross growled. Zek tried to describe what had happened. But words felt inadequate. How do you explain that everything you knew was wrong? When he finished, Cross was silent for exactly 5 seconds. Then the Emperor said the words Zek feared most. I'm sending the Dreadnought fleet. They'll show these humans what real power looks like. Emperor, no, Zek shouted. You don't understand. They can do parlor tricks, Cross interrupted. Making floors invisible, changing gravity. These are illusions, Zek, meant to frighten the weak. The Dreadnoughts carry planet killers. They've destroyed 1,000 worlds. No illusion will stop them. The transmission ended. Zek sat in his chair, feeling numb. Around him, his crew worked frantically to regain control of their systems. But Zek wasn't thinking about his ship anymore. He was thinking about Captain Santos's calm face, her patient explanations, the way she had demonstrated just a fraction of human power. And he was thinking about the Dreadnought fleet, heading toward Earth with enough firepower to crack planets. He wondered if any of them would survive to retreat. Outside his viewport, the small white human ship still floated in space. Peaceful, silent, waiting. Zek shivered and looked away. The war that wasn't. 6 days later, the Dreadnought fleet arrived. Admiral Vorn stood on the bridge of the Worldbreaker, the flagship of the most feared armada in galactic history. Behind him stretched 99 more vessels. Each one was a monument to destruction. Each one carried weapons that had shattered planets into asteroids. Vorn was old. His scales were gray with age. He had fought in 300 battles and won every single one. He had personally overseen the conquest of 72 worlds. He did not believe in fear. "Status report," he commanded. His voice was like grinding stone. "All ships in position, Admiral," his tactical officer reported. "We've formed a sphere around the human planet. No escape routes. Target locked." Vaughn nodded slowly. He had read Commander Zek's report, studied it carefully. The younger commander had been frightened by human tricks, illusions, smoke and mirrors. But Vaughn knew something Zek did not. He knew that fear was a weapon. The humans had used it well. They had frightened Zek, humiliated him, sent him running, all without firing a shot. Psychological warfare. Impressive, certainly, but ultimately useless against someone who refused to be afraid. "Scan their defenses," Vaughn ordered. The scan results appeared. 3 small human ships orbited Earth, just 3. Each one was the same teardrop shape Zek had described, white, smooth, no visible weapons. Vaughn's tactical officer laughed. "That's it? 3 ships against our 100? Admiral, this will be over in seconds." "Perhaps," Vaughn said. He didn't share his officer's amusement. Something felt wrong. 3 ships to defend an entire planet? Either the humans were fools or a transmission came through. The same human woman from Zek's report appeared on screen. Captain Santos. She looked exactly the same. Calm, almost bored. "Admiral Vaughn of the Krylon Dreadnought Fleet," she said. "I am required to warn you. Turn back now. This is your only chance." Vaughn studied her face, looked for fear, doubt, hesitation. He saw nothing but mild curiosity. "I have read Commander Zek's report," Vaughn said slowly. "Your tricks frightened him. They will not frighten me. I have destroyed worlds, human. I have watched suns collapse. I have seen billions die. Your parlor games mean nothing to me." Santos tilted her head slightly. "This isn't a game, Admiral, and they aren't tricks. Commander Zek witnessed demonstrations. You're about to experience implementation. There's a difference." "Then demonstrate," Vaughn growled. "Show me your power. You're certain?" "I am," Santos sighed. She looked genuinely sad. "Very well. But remember, you chose this." She disappeared from the screen. Vaughn turned to his weapons officer. "All ships, prepare planet killer beams. Fire on my mark." "Yes, Admiral." The Dreadnought fleet's main weapons charged. Each ship hummed with building energy. Planet killer beams were exactly what they sounded like. Massive energy weapons that could punch through a planet's crust down to the core and cause catastrophic seismic collapse. One beam could destroy a continent. 100 beams fired simultaneously could crack a world in half. The weapons reached full charge. "Fire," Vaughn commanded. 100 beams of brilliant purple energy shot toward Earth and stopped. The beams just froze in space, halfway between the fleet and the planet. They hung there completely motionless, like someone had pressed pause on reality. Vaughn stared. Around him, officers gasped and pointed. "What is happening?" Vaughn demanded. "Unknown, Admiral." The weapons fired correctly. The energy is there, but it's not moving. Vaughn watched the frozen beams. They looked like solid purple pillars stretching through space. He could see energy churning inside them, but they weren't going anywhere. Then they began to fade. Slowly, like smoke dissolving in wind, the beams disappeared, just evaporated. 100 planet killer shots. Enough energy to destroy multiple worlds gone. "Impossible," Vaughn whispered. His communications officer suddenly shouted, "Admiral! Something's wrong with the fleet." "What? The ships?" "They're moving backward." Vaughn looked at his viewport. The officer was right. The World Breaker's engines were firing forward at full power. He could see the blue glow of the thrusters, but the ship was moving backward, away from Earth. "Reverse engines!" Vaughn ordered. "We're trying, Admiral. But look!" The engine display showed thrusters firing in reverse. But now the ship moved forward, toward Earth, then sideways, then spinning. The engines fired in one direction. The ship moved in a completely different direction. All around them, the same thing was happening to every vessel in the fleet. Ships tumbled through space like leaves in a storm. Crews tried desperately to control their movements, but nothing worked. Every action produced a random result. "Kill the engines!" Vaughn shouted. The engines stopped. The ship continued spinning. "We're still moving, Admiral. Without power." Vaughn grabbed his command chair as the bridge tilted. This was wrong. This was all wrong. Physics didn't work like this. Cause and effect. Action and reaction. These were fundamental laws, unbreakable, except humans had apparently broken them. Captain Santos appeared on every screen in the fleet. Her image was steady while everything else spun and tumbled. "Admiral Vaughn," she said calmly, "what you're experiencing is called causality reversal. We've altered the local space-time field around your ships. Every action now creates an unpredictable reaction. You fire engines forward, the ship goes backward, or sideways, or nowhere. It's random." Vaughn tried to speak, but his words came out backward. Sounds reversed. Syllables in the wrong order. Santos continued, "We've also reversed your communication fields. Everything you try to say comes out backward. Try to send a message, it arrives before you send it. Try to think clearly and, well, you can feel what happens." Vaughn's thoughts felt scrambled, like his brain was working in the wrong order. He knew what he wanted to say, but couldn't figure out how to say it. Around him, his crew was in chaos. Some were screaming, but the sounds came out as gibberish. Others had given up and just held onto their stations, helpless. "If we wanted to destroy you," Santos said, "we could reverse causality completely. Make your weapons fire inward. Make your life support systems work backward. Make every heartbeat in your crew stop instead of pump. But we won't do that, because we're not monsters, Admiral." The spinning slowed, stopped. Vaughn's thoughts cleared. His words worked again. He found himself breathing hard, his heart hammered in his chest. Around him, veteran officers who had seen countless battles looked like frightened children. "We're going to release you now," Santos said. "You'll regain full control of your ships, and then you're going to leave. All of you, the entire fleet. If you ever come back, we won't be this gentle. Do you understand?" Vaughn wanted to argue, to rage, to order another attack. But he was old, and wisdom came with age. He knew when he was beaten. "I understand," he said quietly. "Good." Santos's expression softened slightly. "Admiral, your military record is impressive. 7 decades of service. You've seen a lot. So let me tell you something honestly. This wasn't a battle. This was a lesson. We could have destroyed your fleet in a microsecond. We could have done it before you even entered our system. The fact that you're alive right now, that's mercy, not weakness. Remember that." The screen went dark. Control returned to the world breaker. Engines responded correctly. Navigation worked. Communications functioned. Vaughn sat in his command chair, feeling older than his 90 years. "Admiral," his tactical officer asked quietly. "Orders?" Vaughn was silent for a long moment. Outside, the 3 small human ships continued their lazy orbit around Earth. Peaceful, unthreatening, waiting. "Full retreat," Vaughn said. "Maximum speed, all ships." "Yes, sir." The dreadnought fleet turned and ran. As they fled, scanners detected something. Small objects attached to every ship. Tiny devices barely larger than a fingernail. They hadn't been there before the battle. "What are they?" an officer asked. Vaughn studied the scan. The devices were inactive, just sitting there, watching. Monitors, he realized. The humans put them on every ship in the fleet. During the battle. Should we remove them? "No," Vaughn shook his head. "If we try, they'll probably do something worse. Leave them." But the implications made his blood run cold. If humans had tagged every ship in the dreadnought fleet, had they tagged others too? The First Fleet? Ships across the galaxy? He ordered a wide-range scan. Checked the databases, cross-referenced reports from other empires, and discovered the horrifying truth. Every military ship in the known galaxy had one of those tiny devices. Every single one. Thousands of vessels. Millions of devices, all placed silently, invisibly, without anyone noticing. Humans had been ready for first contact for a very long time. They had prepared. They had watched. They had waited. And when the galaxy came to conquer them, they had simply revealed that they had been watching all along. Vaughn sent his report to the Krylon High Command, to the Emperor. Then he sent it to every other major power he could reach. The message was simple: do not fight the humans. You will lose. 2 days later, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from 50 empires gathered. Some were curious, many were terrified. All wanted answers. And the humans had agreed to come. Vaughn watched the announcement and felt something strange. Not fear anymore. Something else. Hope, maybe. Or curiosity. Because if humans had this much power and chose not to use it for conquest, what did they actually want? The galaxy was about to find out.